So I dated a DL man in Houston back in 2023. Happy Pride to him. And I want to tell this story because I know there's a lot of women in Houston that are just so confused as to why dating is so hard out here. It's because these niggas are gay. And I don't say that in a derogatory way because this nigga is. I am bisexual. A lot of these men are fully gay, meaning they don't like women at all. They actually hate our guts, and they're also not sexually attracted to us. And when you have that combination in a man that insists he's into you and loves you and is attracted to you, it can be really confusing. It can really throw you off your game because a lot of straight men do that too. Men lie to women, period, regardless of their sexuality. There are always signs when a man is not attracted to women whatsoever. I met this man in 2023 through a mutual friend. He was a retired professional basketball player. He was about 6'7", just very masculine presenting. And honestly, we hit it off. So I was really surprised when at the end of the hangout, he didn't follow up. He didn't try to get my number. So I did what you're literally never supposed to do. I found him on Instagram and I liked a couple photos and I followed him. Absolutely fucking. Anyway, he ends up sliding in my DMs. We end up making plans. The biggest red flag about this man was that he never wanted to hang out one-on-one despite living alone. And yes, I had been to his house before, so I knew he in fact lived alone. He had a child. I also lived alone, so it never made sense to me that he never wanted to come over, watch a movie, spend the night. Now, I'm no stranger to dealing with men that don't fuck me, but this was just something a little bit different. A man can hate your friends and still be laid up in your bed every day. So something just wasn't adding up. Anytime we would hang out, his friends would always be present and he would always kind of like parade me around to kind of show me off to his friends. It almost kind of gave like, look guys, like there's a girl here. I like women. Like, see, here's proof. Another huge red flag that I so regretfully ignored was that this man did not like eating box. Now I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Chelsea, you eat box. How in the were you dealing with a man that didn't eat box? It was a really dark time for me. I don't know. I must have been going through a lot. My head was atrocious, y'all. It was just so bad. And I am 29 years old. I have had my fair share of experiences, but this head from this 35-year-old man, mind you, with a whole child, I have never even touched it in my life. That paired with the final straw, the straw that broke the camel's back, if you will, was that he was constantly asking me about one of my friend's boyfriend's sexuality. My friend's boyfriend is super sweet, is obsessed with her, and does not give gay at all. But this man that I was talking to was constantly asking me, oh, why is he so friendly? Are you sure he's not gay? And I tell you, I have never in my life dealt with a man who cared at all about any other man's sexuality. He also used to use the F slur when he would get angry. Anytime he was like playing his video game and he would get really mad, he would just scream the F slur in anger. I just have no idea why I was still dealing with this man at that point, but this was a long time ago, so don't do me. A lot of DL men are in fact bisexual, so they do still have some level of attraction to women, so it's easier to hide. But for the fully DL gay men, y'all ain't fooling nobody. Just come on out of that closet, baby. Anyways, if you're still here, thank you for watching. Be nice in the comments. And if you're a straight man and you're here, that says a lot because this is your For You page, so.
Wagwan Islanders family, welcome back to another video, guys, of ours, Rock and Commune, draw close, because today we're talking about a topic that is very real, a little bit sensitive, and honestly it's kind of heartbreaking. You know, talking about men who live their lives on the DL, also known as down low. If you're not familiar with the term DL, so DL is a shortening for down low, which typically means or refers to a man who identifies as a straight man in public but secretly has a romantic relationship with another man behind closed doors. These men are not often open about their sexuality or their preferences. They may end up even in a committed relationship with a woman. Sometimes they're married with even kids, even building or planning a whole future with this family while keeping these huge aspects of their life absolutely hidden. Before we go any further, let me just make this clear. So now come draw closer for who never hear me, because I know somebody will come down in the comment section and just misunderstand everything that I am talking about today. Guys, this video is not about bashing or to shame anyone for their own sexuality or how they choose to live their lives or their preferences. It's about the lies, the deception, and the life-altering betrayal that comes out when you find out that your boyfriend or your husband is not being honest and about what he likes or even about who he really likes. As me say, when they have a judge or anything like that, we're just laying out the plain facts. Now, before we continue with the rest of this video, guys, I'm just going to ask you to like this video for your girl. It's easy, it's free. I'd love to have you join the Islanders family by, of course, hitting that subscribe button. Now, with that being said, let's get into today's video.
I want to make this video because I really want to help anybody out there that's like struggling with what I've been through. I am a single mom of 2 kids. I am no longer co-parenting with my son's father. And what I'm going to call, I want to start making a series because I don't really show, like, or even tell kind of what I've been through. And when I tell other women, they want me to tell my story. They want me to spread awareness and they want me to say something. But as of December 24th of 2023, I I made the decision to no longer co-parent with my son's father. It's draining. It's a mental thing. It's very traumatizing. So I just can't do it. And again, I'm telling this story because I really want to help somebody else to prevent what I went through. On December 24th, I decided that I would no longer co-parent with him. For various of things, but this situation in particular, I'm like, I'm done. I can't do it. I've forgiven him for a lot of stuff that he has did, and I can't keep forgiving. Like, I'm gonna keep forgiving for me, but I'm not gonna keep going through or allowing him to put me through things. Now, as of July 5th of 2021 is when I found out that he was living a double life. I want to start at the beginning of like how we met and stuff, but I'm going to put on the video what I want to name this video. And if you feel like it will help you, or if you feel like, you know, Deanna, I really want to hear your story, let me know, because I really, really, really want to help other women to prevent what I went through. And this is my pain. This is my experience. And this is what I had to go through as far as dealing with this man. Okay? I'm going to start from the event that happened of last year of why I'm done co-parenting with him. And then I'm gonna probably just start at the beginning. I will need time because it's not easy making these videos. It's not easy possibly telling the world what I went through. It's not easy. So just give me some grace of letting me get it out. So I'm gonna start at the end and then I'm gonna go to the top. So, December 24th of 2023, it was the weekend for him to take my son, or our son. I have not seen or heard from my son the entire weekend. Have not seen him, have not heard from him. Now, his father knew that he had a birthday party on Christmas Day that we were celebrating with my family. So I haven't heard from him this entire weekend. He knew because I told him prior that week. So I was calling his phone. I have not heard from him in like 4 to 5 hours. The last thing he texted was at like 12:50, saying that, you know, he was going to take my son out to eat and he was going to go to his mom to, you know, open birthday presents and stuff. So, December 24th, I have not heard from him since 12:50. It's now going on 4 o'clock. I'm calling, I'm texting, I'm calling, I'm texting, I'm calling, I'm texting. He sent me another text, I think around like 4 something. And I haven't heard from him since then. And I know he was supposed to drop my son off. Now, since I have not heard from him, and I reached out to his mother, and I said, you know, have you seen your son? Have you heard from your son? She said, no, I haven't seen him since Thanksgiving. So that went off. Like, what do you mean you haven't seen him? Like, you know, he would say he was taking my son over your house. So I go into panic mode. I'm calling him, no answer, no answer, no answer. So then I proceed to call his partner, no answer. So I waited about 4 or 5 hours, you know, see if he'll respond, see if he'll text back, None. Now, at this point, I'm upset, I'm anxious, I'm worried. So I go to his house. Right when I pulled up, he called me. At this point, it's like 4 or 5 hours. He says, oh, I've been looking for my phone. Impossible. For 4 to 5 hours, you've been looking for your phone? For 4 to 5 hours, you have been looking for your phone. Impossible. So I just say, hey, can you just bring my son outside? So I'm outside waiting for like 4 to 5 minutes, or maybe 2 to 3 minutes. I don't know. But it's raining and it seemed long to me. He proceeds to come to the door and he was like, calm down. But it's like, don't tell me to calm down after I've been reaching out to you about my kid. Don't tell me to calm down when you haven't answered your phone in like 4 to 5 hours. Just don't tell me to calm down. So that's what I said. Don't tell me to calm down. And I proceeded to take my son out his hands. And I was proceeded to leave. He said, and slammed the door in my face. So what do you do when somebody slams a door in your face? You walk away. So that's exactly what I did. Walk away with my son. The door swings back open. And all I hear is, fuck you, bitch. And I'm just like, in front of my son? You're doing all this in front. So I proceed to walk away. He goes and get his boyfriend on me. Long story short, 2 years ago, I found out he was cheating on me for a year with men. Never knew. There was no signs at the beginning. It's a long story. But anyways, his boyfriend comes to the door. And the father of my son is really yelling out. So in that moment, I wanted to break down because you're doing this in front of my son. You disrespected me in front of my son. I have took it a lot from this man. I have dealt with a lot. If you don't know me, or if you're not friends with me, or you're not my family, you would not know the amount of pain that I suffered within 2 years dealing with him. You wouldn't know. And I've been healing for 2 years. So he's yelling out. I'm like, okay. So I walk away again, get my son into the car. My sister is with me. So my sister gets out and was like, no, arguing with him and his boyfriend. So I'm trying to like tell my sister, go back in the car. We finna leave. At the end of the day, I am still a woman and you are still a man. Why would you go get another man on me? You couldn't have not felt that threatened to go get another man on me. You could not have felt that threat to go get another man on me. And then you could not have felt that threat to do it in front of my son. So at this point, it became a safety issue for me and my son. Now, I don't want to co-parent with him. I can't. It's too much pain and it's too much. I have to deal with so much shit in silence, and it's like I'm tired. And I just want to help other women if they are going through this, or if they have to deal with the man that they found out was actually a DL. I want to help you. This is really like a mental trauma thing that people don't understand. People don't get it. People don't understand. People just blow it off like, oh, you got a gay baby daddy. And like, y'all literally, y'all don't understand what I have been through. Y'all don't understand the amount of pain that I suffered. Y'all don't understand how much healing I had to do to get to where I'm at because of this man. Y'all don't know. And it's like I'm so emotional because I want to tell my story. And I want to make other people aware. I want to let people know I'm done doing this silence. I am ready to tell my story, and I'm ready to just put it all out there. I'm going to tell my side, and I will tell what the dad, I will tell what I did. But what that man put me through, y'all could have never imagined. You could never imagine. You don't know what I went through. I suffered in silence for 2 years. And for his family that may see this, I do sincerely apologize. Actually, I don't. Actually, not apologizing. This is mama. People thinking, oh, him being a dad don't have nothing to do with his sexuality. Okay. Anyways, I felt like it was a safety issue. So, personally, me, I no longer want to co-parent with him. The things that this man did, the things that, how he went about things, I wouldn't even wish on my own enemy. I would never, ever wish this on no woman to go through what to go through. I just wouldn't wish it on no man. I wouldn't wish it on nobody. People don't understand the amount of pain and time that I had to find myself again. You don't understand. You don't. I look a hot mess right now. But how did I find out? Come here. Zoom in. Okay, now I understand I was crying in the last video, so I'm going to try not to cry this time. I'm sorry. I was just emotional. Grab your popcorn, get a seat. Just come on. So, first of all, I did not find out through his phone. I never went through his phone. I had a voice saying he cheated. And so, the voice had got so strong that I'm like, okay, God. I had asked God, because at this time, guys, we was engaged. We was, in fact, engaged. I'm like, God, am I going to marry him? God said no. I heard the loudest and clearest no. So I'm like, okay, why? So God said, grab the laptop. So I grabbed the laptop. He said, go to the email. I said, okay, go to the email. So I'm going back and forth with God, like, what's in the email? So God was like, no, go through the email. So I'm like, okay, so I'm going fast, like I'm strolling. He like, you see the Facebook notifications? I'm like, yeah, but everybody has Facebook notifications. And he was like, okay, click on one. When I clicked on one, that's the day my life changed forever. So I clicked on it, start hyperventilating. Like, I'm like literally about to have like a heart attack. Like, I just was in, my mind just went everywhere. So then God was like, I'm not done. I said, you're not done. Now, if you know me, you know that I like proof. Like, I need some type of proof. In order for me to argue with anybody, I'm not going to argue with you until I have proof. I need hardcore proof. I've always been like that. So God was like, go back to the email. So I'll go back to the email. Mind you, I'm still hyperventilating. My mind is everywhere. I'm thinking about my son. I was just everywhere. I was in a distraught. So God was like, you see the OnlyFans? I'm like, God, come on. Not the OnlyFans. Like, come on. Please. Like, I'm begging you. He like, click on it. My heart broke some more. I thought my heart couldn't break any more than that. Come here. I lied. So now at this point, I want to destroy this computer. I want to run him over with my car. I wanted to throw everything that was in front of me. And God was like, I know you like proof. So go to the payment section. I'm like, God, payment? Really? I'm like, literally, I'm like, my mind was everywhere. So he like, you see the last 4 digits of the card? I said, yeah. He like, okay, now go to your internet bill and look at all the debit cards that's listed. Does that match that one? I wanted it to be wrong so bad. but it was right. After that, so that's how I found out. God and his email. I never went through his phone. Still to this day, I never went through that man's phone. I found out in a laptop through his email. In 2018, in December, we dated. So from August of 2018 to December of 2018, things was good. We was getting to know each other. We met because, I got into a car accident and lost my car, and he was offering me rides, and I eventually took up on his offer. In 2019, things was good. We had a normal relationship. There was barely any disagreements. For our 1 year anniversary, he did take me to a fancy restaurant, and he did book a hotel reservation for our 1 year anniversary. Again, no red flags. Everything was just perfectly, fine. Our relationship was loving, sweet. It was just normal, like any normal relationship. In 2020, COVID happened. So when COVID happened, I found out I was pregnant of April of 2020. From April of 2020 up until December of 2020, which I gave birth to my son. He was caring, he was loving, he was kind, he was there for me. There was no red flags. He would rub my back, he would rub my feet, he would even rub my stomach. He was just overall there for me. So after we have our son at the end of 2020, now we're entering 2021, and that's where things kind of like shifted. So in 2021, everything was still normal, but now we was arguing more, meaning that, and I can't exactly say, which months, because, it was so far back, but in 2021, we started getting into disagreements. It was just, we just had a bunch of disagreements. It was a normal relationship, but we did have disagreements. In 2022 is when things kind of like shifted. In 2022, in January, he started making comments about how he didn't like me with my nails, lashes, and weave. So he wanted me to practically look like a man. Now, from January all the way up until April, we still having our disagreements. That was the first red flag for me. And honestly, I had to do more investigating. So in 2022 of April, he went out of town. He went out of town for a job for construction. He barely wanted to talk to me. He was always around, his coworkers, of course. And, every time his, coworkers would come in the hotel, where they were staying at, he didn't really want to talk on the phone. So, he's out of town. I figure, he's tired. Maybe, that's why. So from April of 2022 all the way up to June, okay, things were still kind of rocky, but again, he was still, he was still loving. He was still, there. Things took a turn in June of 2022. In June of 2022, I have a girls' night. I'm at my girlfriend's house. We there, we drinking, we vibing, just having a casual girls' night. He didn't answer his phone all night. He left me stranded because at this time we did have one car. He left me stranded. He had my son all night, and he said he was at a family member house, but still to this day, I never heard that family member name. I only heard that family member name once, which conclude that I don't think that this family member really existed. He was at the family member house all night. He didn't answer his phone. He answered his phone the next day at 9 o'clock in the morning when he came through the door. When he came through the door at 9 o'clock that morning, and I remember it perfectly because I had a baby shower to go to the next day for my friend. He was gone all night. he stopped responding to my text messages roughly around 7 p.m. He did not respond until 9 a.m. until he came into the house. Big red flag for me. Again, he was at a family member house, but still to this day, I never heard of that family member. So where he really was, I don't know. So that was in June of 2022. In July of 2022 is when I found out about the stuff in his laptop. That's when I found out about him being gay. What I found in the laptop, I'll give a few details. He was telling a lot of men like, yeah, I'm DL, please don't tell nobody. He was having sexual conversation, obviously, with men, sexual things I never even heard of. And again, he was just having sexual conversations with men. In the bio, it says thug DL hood dudes. I didn't even know that was even a page or that was even a thing. That was my first time hearing it. On the OnlyFans account, because people was concerned about that, on the OnlyFans account, it was nothing but porn. So I'm not going to go deep in detail, but it was nothing but porn between the same sex men. So that was in July of 2022. Now you go into August of 2022. He wants to make it work. He's fighting for his family. He said he loved me. He can't live without me. So what I do, I take him back. I took him back. That is my fault, and I will take accountability for that. But honestly, for me, I was just trying to save my family. That's the only thing that I was really focused on. I just, had a baby. I did not want to be a single mom, and I was still in love with him despite what had happened. He had convinced me that, it was just, a phase. He wasn't gay. So I took him back. So in September, obviously it was my birthday month. It was probably one of the worst birthdays I think I ever had. I didn't really do anything. He didn't really make it special either. Like he started changing. In October of 2022 is when we decided we no longer wanted to be together. We decided we was going to go our separate ways and that we was going to co-parent. So despite of what I found out, I still co-parent with him after the fact. So it was no problem with me co-parenting with him after the fact, okay? Now, this is October of 2022. With co-parenting, everything is going fine. Of course, I'm still heartbroken over our relationship and grieving over our relationship. But we was co-parenting fine. Our kids were still happy. They still had their mother and their father. This was a very traumatic event for me. And I kept forgiving this man after all that he has done to me. How much more forgiving do you want me to do? How much more forgiving can I do? And most importantly, I need everybody to realize this. I am still healing from a person that broke me. So the simple fact that I got to face this person, for the rest of my life from a person who broke me because we have a kid together is very traumatic. Very traumatic. Very. This is a traumatizing situation, and not only that, an innocent child is now placed in the middle when all he had to do was be honest and all he had to do was leave. All he had to do was just be honest and leave. He could have been himself, and I would have had way more respect for him. So when I'm crying in that video, I'm crying because I'm hurt. I'm crying because I feel betrayed. I'm crying because we have a son together. I'm crying because I just never thought in a million years that this man would disrespect me, and it just had to come to that. You guys don't understand how I felt and how I've been feeling. I've been healing from this for 2 years. For 2 years, for somebody to lie to me about who they are and give me a kid and sell me a fake dream and want to marry me, that hurt me to my core. And now we have a son together. Overall, I'm hurt and I feel betrayed. And I'm healing. I'm healing and venting and crying. That is a part of healing. So, am I mad because he gay? No. I'm mad because he should have been honest. He should have just been honest. We wouldn't be here if he was just honest.
So after listening to these stories thus far, it feels like a real life roller coaster. And they just notice their partner may have an uncomfortable obsession with their homeboy that just seem a little bit too close. Or if you have watched any of my DL video, guys, you know how traumatizing this can be and just how these patterns, sometimes it doesn't always just come to the forefront. I remember this one video, I don't even remember if I actually shared it in my last DL video, but basically the woman said that her boyfriend of 2 years kept like a separate phone, full-blown conversations with men, pictures, and even meetups. These stories are absolutely disturbing. I mean, it's not just about the cheating, it's about the entire relationship is actually based on a lie. And for a lot of them, the trauma runs deep. When this happens, you find that women, we start questioning everything. We start questioning our self-worth, our femininity, our sanity. I'm not talking about men who are just exploring his sexuality with transparency and honesty. That's completely different. As I said in the disclaimer at the top of this video, we're talking about men who know exactly what they're doing, them very conscious, them very aware, but they choose to hide, to manipulate, and to hurt the woman who trusts them the most. That being said, let's keep watching.
Yep. Never in a million years did I ever think that this would be the case. That there is a true epidemic going on, and it's these DL men wasting our time, wasting women's lives. Princess, because you insecure? So I recently have uncovered that somebody that I was dating, we broke up, like, right after the new year. But I recently have discovered that he is DL. And I started to have my speculation, but now, yeah. Let me tell you the warning signs. Female aggression. There's something to be said about a man that can very easily yell at a woman, raise their voice to a woman, like women that they don't know. One of the first times I ever encountered this person, which made me not actually speak to this person for 6 months when I first knew them, was that he took this girl's stuff that we worked with and he just like threw it all in a drawer because he thought that was his office. Diva behavior. Like, okay, Mariah. Another thing was he could easily yell at a woman. It's because they subconsciously, these DL men, they're at the same level as a woman. So they're easily able to get catty with us like we get catty. 2, metro in a way that wasn't masculine. However, overcompensating masculinity at the same time. What I mean is that very, not flamboyant, but okay, he loved scented candles. He loved having candles. He liked to go to home goods and home accessory places. He did not like sports at all. Which isn't to say that all guys that don't like sports and are more artistic are DL or are same-sex whatever, loving. But at the same time, this person would be like, try to be the loudest, biggest person in the room. Act like he could like beat up anybody. He's like 5'3". Like he's gotten into fender benders and taken out a pew-pew. Like the anger and like the aggression is unreal. However, super like femme. 3, him excessively talking about how he was an ally to the LGBT community. I will not say T for him because he is actually extremely phobic. Like, gets angry about it, phobic. Kind of makes me think sis is putting on dresses and shit, but... So he used to talk about more than once how he lived in the very lesbian, gay drag part of New York City when he was younger, and just like a bunch of stuff like that. Never did I ask. I don't even know how these things came up. But yeah, that was a conversation way more than once. 5, I think. Twice he had. Right off the rip, I thought that was weird. Let me explain that. This man had more than one. Different races, different girths, different legs. And yeah, he used it on, like, I guess, like, a woman. But he had a variety, man. And I will never forget something he said. He was always trying to, like, whoop boop into boop. And I was like, no. Because he never reached that level of being a good boyfriend that, like, he deserved it. Honestly. Like, I get it that you date for a certain, it's like, oh, you know, freaky deaky, boo, boo, boo. Bitch, I'll do anything once. Monogamously. But, yeah. No. So there was a time where he had gotten, like, this different kind of one, and I think it was able to stick onto the wall. And it was smaller. And he was, like, trying to say, like, oh, let me do it with this, whatever. And I was like, okay, if you let me do it to you, then maybe you could do it to me. Do you know what he said? I'll definitely let you do it to me. But, like, you first. Sick. He never, one time, was able to finish. Not once. He really only, like, face down, butt up. Like, no other way. Wasn't good at it. Never did his due diligence. Bro. And, like, there were, like, weird things. Like, he, like, didn't want to please a woman. It's like he wanted to, like, hurt. Like, it was, like, I didn't know if it was because he, like, used to watch, like, and, like, you know how they're like, crazy, but, like, he would legit, like, try to do that stuff. And I would be like, what the f*** are you doing? Like he wanted to punish. Oh my gosh, I could do this forever. Let me know if you want more.
These are signs that I ignored before finding out that my boyfriend was a DL. I think I already told the story, but these are just signs that I ignored. Number 1 was when he told me that he felt more comfortable around his homeboys than me. Like, okay. And then when I told him, well, you should just go be with your homeboys then. He didn't say anything about that. He laughed. Okay. Second was when I was on the phone with him and his homeboy didn't know that he was on the phone with me. And he walked in the room and was like, yeah, I know you and what's up call was effing last night. He said him and his other homeboy's name. Okay. Third was when he brought the same homeboy. It's the same homeboy. It was always the same homeboy. He brought him a gift for his birthday, but he didn't buy me nothing for my birthday. Okay. My last straw was when I found him watching, you know what, on his phone, but it wasn't a girl and a boy. It wasn't even a girl and a girl. He just so happened to be a boy and a boy. And his excuse for that was, oh, it was a dare from him and his homeboys or something like that. Something stupid. And I just was like, okay.
One thing that narcissistic men love to do, especially the ones who are DL in particular, is they like to overcompensate so that you don't catch on to them. So what you'll find is that you will see them when you guys are out together. They will make it their mission to go out of their way to look at another woman, to stare her down, to check her out right in front of you, because they are overcompensating for something. They want it to be known that, oh, look, I'm attracted to other women. So they will make it their point to disrespect you while you are on a date with them, in public with them, or whatever, and they will break their necks to look at another woman. Meanwhile, they're probably really checking out her man if she's with a man. But if it's like another woman by herself walking, the narcissistic DL man is going to go out of his way to check that woman out and try to make you feel some type of way about it while he's doing that. Meanwhile, it's just a cover for him to protect his true identity of being a DL closeted narcissistic man. If you've experienced this from your boyfriend, husband, or whatever, let us know in the comments. I want to see how many of us can relate to this.
Now, Islanders, let's talk about why some men may be on the down low and the warning signs. I think this brings us to the next conversation, which is a heavy one. Why do they choose to live this life, this double life in the first place? The truth is, I don't think that one size fits all, and I don't think there is one full answer. Some men feel pressure from society. Let's talk about that, from even family, religion, or even their own culture, while some have internalized a shame or even fear of rejection. Some are even in denial about who they are, and some them just want to have them cake and eat it, and that's just the truth. But whatever the reason is, lying to your partner or even playing with somebody else's life and their body and their health, it is definitely not okay. Let us talk about the signs as well as the red flags. These clues might suggest that your man is down low. And guys, please don't watch this video and jump to any conclusions or to accuse anybody of being down low. But if you start to noticing certain patterns, it is okay to ask the questions. Trust your intuition. As far as I'm concerned, a woman's intuition never lies. And of course, protect your peace, at all costs. So of course, guys, with that being said, let's get into this next segment where these creators will share some possible signs that they notice before the big reveal. Let's keep watching.
After being friends with a lot of women throughout my life, the one reoccurring question that they always want to ask you is do you think this guy's DL? What is the sign of a man being DL? And everybody always thinks that it's him liking his homeboys more than you, or him being a little too into his appearance. That is not the telltale sign of a man being DL, but this is men who put their hands on their girlfriend are struggling with the DL demon.
So not only was he cheating on me with girls, but also guys too. Yeah. So I have an ex that I have many crazy stories about, and I was with him for a year and a half, and I have no idea how or why, but I was at my lowest point ever in life because this man was so narcissistic, so manipulative, and also in the closet, very deep in the closet. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that every guy that's in the closet acts like this, but from my experience, this is what happened to me. This man was so angry with himself that he secretly was gay, but no one else knew except me. And he did actually end up opening up to me about 6 or 7 months into the relationship, and he told me that nobody else knew and that he felt safe sharing this with me. So his parents are extremely homophobic, and I think that was a really big reason as to why he was so deep into the closet. But the way I found out essentially was this. He would have sleepovers with his guy friends, and he would turn his phone off so that I could not contact him and I would not hear from him until the next day. And I thought nothing of this at first until I learned that the guy friend that he was having these sleepovers with had gone to jail for making a 12-year-old boy sub. When I tell you, this man was obsessed with his friends. Obsessed. He would ditch me 99% of the time to go hang out with them because they were all doing, you know what I mean. He would also try to pressure me and force me to have 3 so that he could have a sexual interaction with another male. And I was extremely opposed to this because I am not even comfortable with having another female, let alone a guy. It's just not what's comfortable for me. So I kept saying no, but he kept trying to pressure me into doing stuff. And I just insisted, I really don't want to have to do that. In the bedroom, he would make me say the craziest stuff that was extremely uncomfortable for me to say, and I can't even say for TikTok. And he would do things that made me feel extremely uncomfortable, and it was really difficult for me to date a man who not only was in the closet but hated himself for being in the closet, and he took that hate out on me. He was a very angry person, and I think that if he just accepted his sexuality, he would be much happier. So wherever he is out there somewhere, I hope you're not lost, and I hope you found yourself and you accepted yourself, and I hope you're happy because you're weird. He also tried to overcompensate by having a lot of girls to like cover up his true identity, and I think also to try to convince himself. But no, he's in the closet for sure.
Editing Jody here. I wanted to quickly come on and just comment particularly on this creator's share. I do not agree with the fact that he actually confided in her and shared that he was having these feelings and then she came to the internet with it. And I think this could be one of the very same reasons why there are so many DL men, because sometimes us women cannot be trusted with this information. And this story, I don't want to really judge the creator or bash the creator too much, but I think this is a prime example of why some men do things behind our backs, because I'm sure people would have known who her ex is and probably suspect the fact that now he said that he only trusted her with that information and she came to the internet with it, even though she did not call his name. Come on, guys. People are not stupid. Eventually they'll figure out who it is. So this is what you are not supposed to do. Anyway, let's get back into the video.
The reason we have so many down low men right now is very, very simple. It comes down to lack of effort and laziness. When a woman goes on a date, think about it. You get dressed up, you get excited, you think about it ahead of time, and you want to have it's an experience, right? A lot of men go on these dates because they want to get a piece of it. And that dinner they bought, the time they had to spend, the stories they had to listen to was like investment into getting that piece of it. Okay, so if they've now learned that they can go on an app on the telephone and within 2 to 3 minutes message another man and go get their behind a dumpster, a storage unit, or in the bathroom or fitting room in a public place, they didn't have to pay any money. They don't have to listen to any stories. They don't have to get dressed up. They don't have to do any of these things. They can just go get that thing done. And a lot of these men just look at a hole as a hole. Let's just be real. That's what they think. They're not looking for an emotional connection. They don't care about any of those things. They just want something done for them. And a lot of them, they want to be banged. And I'm telling you the extreme things a lot of these guys want. They don't give a damn about the risks. And they're taking on all the risks because they're on the receiving end of the man juice that they're begging for. If their wives knew about this, they probably wouldn't look at them like the manly man that they present themselves as.
Tell me, when did you suspect that your man was on the down low?
So about 2 years into our marriage, me and my ex-husband, we were not doing well. It was toxic. One day I needed to use a laptop, but mine was broke, and a lot of times he would let me use his. He wasn't home on this specific day. I go to open his laptop and his email is open. I guess he must have forgotten, not realized, and just shut it down, but normally he would close his apps out. I go in the email and I see that there are these emails with a strange subject from Craigslist. Something I had to read and open because I was like, oh no, who is he sending messages to? I click on it and it is messages where he's responding back and forth to a man from Craigslist that my ex had reached out to. This man is openly gay, and the man was asking my ex-husband, have you ever been with a man before? Have you ever tried these things before? My ex responds back with, no, but I've always been curious about it.
DL is the acronym for down low, or you keep it on the low. Basically, this is kept secret or discreet. It is referred to men who identify as heterosexual men but secretly have sexual relations with other men. Usually these men, not in all cases, are usually married or they have a girlfriend, have kids, and is basically playing home with, a woman and kids and stuff like that, and wants to appear as if they are straight on the outside, which on the inside or on the download we know some more things are going on behind that. Thank you so much for clicking on today's video, guys. My name is Jody. If you heard my voice for the very first time, remember to like, comment, and if you're new here, please join the Islanders family by hitting that red subscribe button. Without further ado, let's get into today's video.
So I want to talk about this real quick because this is an experience that I personally have. So I'm gonna give you a quick little story. Before we even got married, he had like this crazy obsession with wanting to insert himself in my exit. I just was never interested in that. I, to this day, am not. I've always, and teach his own, but I always felt like, that's an exit and I have a whole entrance waiting for you here, so I don't understand the point of that. But I couldn't understand why he was so obsessed with it. And because I kept denying it and kept saying, no, I don't want to do it, it sounds painful, he decided to ghost me. He didn't see me and he didn't speak to me for about a good week and a half. I specifically remember this because I cried. I was so upset. And I would look at myself in the mirror and think, what is wrong with me that I cannot do these things? I cannot just push myself to do all these things that he wants me to do. He would tell me things like, oh, you're not a freak. I like freaks, and you're too innocent, and you're not a freak enough for me. If you loved me, you would do this. If you loved me, you would do that. So one day I finally decided, okay, fine, I'll do it. I did it a couple of times, completely hated it. But pay attention to how it turns them on. I'm not saying that they're definitely a part of the rainbow community. I'm not saying that they are definitely swinging from that other tree branch. But, I am gonna say that is a ginormous DL red flag, especially if they get so upset at the fact that you don't want to do it to the point where they decide to ghost you or to give you the silent treatment, because we have a right as women to say no. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have a right to say, I don't want to do this activity, or I don't want to do that. And if they want to go and be with someone else who will be willing to do it, fine, by all means. But the way that they respond to you saying no is a huge red flag. So I've watched several videos, and I do believe that a lot of DL narcissistic men who are obsessed with the exit, they want to try it because they think and imagine you being a man. Let's just put it out there. Let's just put it out there, ladies. They imagine you being a man. And again, I love the rainbow community. Absolutely love them. I have rainbow in my family. I try to be careful with my words because of TikTok. That's why I say rainbow. But in a relationship, if you are a man on the low or you have any curious feelings, it's okay to be curious. It's okay. It is nothing wrong being curious, but you have to be fair to your partner and make your partner aware and know that, hey, I'm curious about this thing. And if you feel like you can't trust your partner enough, you feel like you can't be open and honest and trust them to be honest with them and vulnerable, then maybe you shouldn't be with the person. But when you're dealing with a narcissist, they don't care. They will not be open and honest with you. They'll just get mad at you for not being okay with whatever activity they want to do.
When you get married to a woman, even though you know that you're gay, you're like destined to do some pretty stupid and harmful things, not only to her, but to you and to all the people involved. Let me tell you about one of those things. I got married, and I had been talking to a guy for about 6 months before I got married. Completely didn't think that it was like gonna amount to anything, wasn't trying for it to, but accidentally fell in love with him because I had never dated a man before, because why would I? I was raised super conservative and like would have never allowed myself to do that. But it was in my last semester of college and I felt like times were getting pretty bleak and I was about to get married. So why not talk to this random stranger who I met on chat roulette, right? What could go wrong? Anyway, fast forward 6 months, I get married to my wife. She, we're happy. I'm not happy, but, we're pretending to be happy. She's happy, I think. And 3 weeks go by. 3 weeks. And I'm taking a biochemistry course while I'm working on applying to medical school. And while I'm in that class, I get 11 phone calls from her. 11 missed calls. So I think to myself, that's not good. And I immediately knew it was wrong. She didn't say anything. She didn't leave any voicemails. She didn't text me, nothing. She just 11 missed phone calls. And she had my location, so she knew where I was. And I knew what she wanted because I was like, she somehow found out I was still talking to this guy that I met on chat roulette, which I was. I was absolutely still talking to him. Oh, and by the way, I definitely wasn't telling him that I got married. Lots of mistakes, lots of dishonesty. And I'm prepared, so give me all the judgment. I know everybody's going to fill the comments and tell me how horrible that was, but that's why I'm talking about this. Because I don't think it's right, and I don't think it was good, and I'm trying to help people who might think that they can do the same thing, realize that they can't. So she calls me 11 times. I leave class that day, and I'm going to call her back. I walk outside the building, and she is right there with without shoes on, looking like she just saw a ghost or just watched her parents be murdered in front of her. She is horrified, and rightly so. So I knew exactly what the problem was. She obviously found out somehow, and she sat me down, and we wound up having a 3-hour conversation about how she saw my open computer where I was Skyping this guy, and she saw our chat history and everything 3 weeks into our marriage. That's how she found out I was gay, which is very embarrassing, but that's how she found out. Horrible. So let's talk about it. I have written a short story about this, but I think I'm just gonna talk about it. So right after I came out to my wife, she had been at work all day, and I had written down like what I wanted to say to her. She came home, we had the conversation, and I don't know what I anticipated happening right then and there. We were living in my parents' basement, which is what's so crazy about how young I got married. Like I didn't have a career, I didn't have a full-time job, I was still in school, but we were married anyway, and my parents were like kind of helping us get on our feet. And maybe that sounds sweet, but it was really horrible actually, because I was so afraid of coming out in any direction, like before I got married, after I got married, because I thought I would lose my housing right out of school, and I had nowhere to go, or like I didn't know what to do. So anyway, she slept in a different room in the basement apartment of my parents' house than me the night that I came out to her. And then for about 3 more nights that continued. We didn't talk at all. Then I noticed she told me one night, I'm gonna sleep somewhere else, and I was like, okay. Didn't know where she was going, but I figured like her parents or something. I find out she's staying at a friend's, I think she told me, and she was staying at a friend's for a while, and it had come to like a week or 10 days after I'd come out to her, and I figured this whole time like she was just trying to like set up where she was gonna go from here or whatever. Well, she comes home and like is still packing one outfit every night and then going to her friend's house. And so I stopped her and I was like, why aren't you just packing up everything? And she got irate at me, like violently angry at me, and was like, how can you ask me that? Are you serious? You're really giving up? Like, this is seriously over? You don't want to try? Like, how can you not want to try? And like, I had to tell her right there that I've been trying for years to make this work. And I think in her mind, me coming out to her was sort of like the beginning of me realizing I'm gay or something. You know, I'm not really sure. We've never talked about this specific story. You know, we've talked about just like everything from a zoomed out lens, but never this specific part. So I'm not sure what was going through her head at the time. But she was very angry, and it got to the point where I had to say, I need you to pack like a full bag. Like we need to start the moving out process, because I can't keep seeing you. Like I have to move on to, and my parents aren't, it's not like they're gonna understand what's happening. And I was a kid, like this is still when I was 21. I had no idea what I was doing. So if you're there, I've been there.
This man said that men often choose to be on the down low because they aren't given a safe space. When are we gonna keep it a buck? No one, no matter what gender, race, or class, is given a safe space.
It ain't safe for the black or the white girl.
It's not safe. You telling me because a woman doesn't make you feel safe because of your sexual preferences, you go behind that woman's back and sleep with men? You feel safe enough to sleep with another man, communicate with another man, even be in a relationship with another man, but because your woman might not like it, you don't feel safe enough to say it out loud. There's a misconception that lesbians are safe. The only time being a lesbian is safe is when men get to watch or benefit. Once a woman shares that she wasn't gay for the benefit of a man, she's all types of names. Bull, babe, carpet, young M.A. Or she just hasn't had the right D in her life. Men could also create and maintain safe spaces for other men to explore their sexuality. Because as a woman, how can I create a safe space for you if I didn't even know what was going on?
Hey cuz, what you doing? You busy? No? Okay, do you want to hear about the time when I left a DL guy at a restaurant? Yeah. So this happened like a few months ago or whatever like this. In my case, I was on a particular app. Y'all know which app that is. It's the J ends with it. Start with a J, end with a D. Yeah. So there's guys on there, all of us know, people be on there talking about they want this and that and the third, and they knowing damn well they don't want it, right? So I'm going through here erasing messages because it's a bunch of bullshit. So I received this one profile where it kind of came at me correct, but it was a blank profile. So I wrote him back and I said, hey, if we're going to have a conversation, I'm gonna need to see a picture of you. So he was nice enough to send me about like 5 pictures. I was like, okay, he was like, he very handsome. So we're talking, chatting and everything like that. He asks us for my number. I get him my number, and as soon as I get him my number, we FaceTiming. We were talking on the phone every day, chatting up, everything, right? So that lasted about like, I think a week. So next thing you know, he asks me, he was like, hey, you busy this weekend? I said, no, what about you? He said, well, I'm trying to take you out on a date. I'll pay. Remember that. So next thing you know, that day comes. We're FaceTiming. We're both getting ready to go on this date. So we both cleaned up everything. We finally made it to the restaurant. We're having a good little time. I'm shy. I'm shy when you first meet me, or I'm kind of a little socially awkward when you first meet me because I don't know how to react. So, I was basically just quiet, shy, really wasn't saying too much, but I was still doing the regular things, like I was still talking shit with him, laughing, not trying to keep eye contact with him or nothing like that, right? So, in the midst of us eating and drinking and having a good little time, his phone vibrates. His phone is on the table, face down. And I was like, you gonna answer that? He was like, no, he reached down and he clipped the little button on the side to sit up there and I guess stop it from ringing. I was like, you need to try, I'm like, who was that? And he was like, oh, ain't nobody important. So I hear his phone vibrate again. I said, whoever it is must be very important. He was like, no, it ain't important. He was like, no, you're important right now. Yeah. So his phone rings again. I reach over and I just turn his phone up. I turn his phone face up and I see a whole girl. It says, my wifey. And I was like, and I was real quick. I was like, I'm like, you better answer her. You better find, answer, see what she want. And he was like, man, why'd you do that? I said, you need to answer the damn phone. I'm like, I'm not finna sit here and listen to the damn phone vibrating throughout this whole date or whatever. And he was like, man, I'll call her back later. I'm with you right now. I was like, okay. So now we sitting there talking, we still sitting there. I'm still trying to carry on, conversation, acting like ain't nothing happened. So the check come. Yeah, this is where it gets interesting. So he says, when the girl come over there with the check, she was like, what's this gonna be? This gonna be separate or together? And he was like, together. And so I'm looking at him just smiling, not thinking like, I can't wait to fucking leave here. So he grabs his wallet, y'all. He just fumbling through his wallet. And next thing you know, he was like, damn, I ain't got my card, I ain't got no extra cash. He like, you got something on you? I was like, you know what? I was like, you ain't got to worry about it, I'll pay for it. And he was like, for real? I was like, yeah, I'll pay for it, baby, don't worry about it. And he was like, damn, you a real one, damn. He was like, damn, I lucked out. I was like, yep, you sure did. So the girl come back and she was like, are you ready to pay? I said, yes, ma'am. Separate. And he looked at me when I said that, he looked at me was like, man, I thought you said you was gonna pay. And I said, and I thought you was real. Apparently not. So I was like, yeah, man, split this. I said, he gonna pay for his and I'm gonna pay for mine. And so she was like, sir, you ready to pay? He was like, no, not yet. I said, but I'm ready to pay. So she walks off. He was like, man, bro, I thought you was gonna pay for me, man. That's fucked up, man. It's messed up. I said, no, that's messed up. I said, you got a whole wifey, girlfriend, or whatever, and you out on a date with me? He was like, man, that ain't important. I said, yes, it is important. Because like I told him, I said, I don't play about my girls. So I was like, I don't know what you gonna do, but I don't sit up here and pay for men like that. No. Because y'all, like, first of all, you're not even my man. Second of all, you DL or whatever you is, and I don't play them games. Okay? So I was like, I don't know what you gonna do, but as soon as she come back with that check, I'm signing my stuff and I'm finna leave. It's a good thing that we drove separate cars. And so he was like, man, you really gonna do that? I'm like, how many times you gonna ask me that? I told you no. So she came back with the check. I sit up there, I signed it, put my card in my wallet. He was like, man, come on, man, just this one time. He was like, I'll make it up to you. She's standing right there. And so I said, ma'am, you have a good day. And I left her a little $2 tip. I said, I don't know what you gonna do. I said, you better pay that. I said, you better pay them folks. I grabbed my keys, got up, walked right on out the restaurant, and I blocked him as soon as I got out the door. So, cousin, I'm glad you heard that, because, baby, I got more stories, okay? But I'm going to let you go and go to bed, and I'll talk to you tomorrow, okay?